I actually don't think we talk about how much the domestic soccer landscape has changed since the CBA.
Hmm.
New challenges, I'll call them challenges. I mean, there are good things on one side, but it's challenges. We've never seen the number of players essentially sidelined, pregnant, and having babies than we have in this particular last cycle that's been trickling over into, US camps and just roster adjustments for club in terms of, how do we move forward from that? And it's never had to be a conversation or something else additionally that coaches have to navigate, or players as they make their way back in. It certainly is a new feature in terms of even like rehabbing to come back in. But seeing all of these change in addition to what Emma Hayes has been able to accomplish, I feel like makes it even more impressive because nobody has been previously asked to manage all of that on top of the usual comings and goings managerially. Satara, what do you make of what Emma has been able to do so far, including, you know, maybe the questions of like the US haven't really truly been tested? And you could say, like, yes, Portugal has, right? Because quite frankly, they took their first loss in quite some time on American soil. I think it was only like the third time since like the 80s that that's actually happened, which, friendly or not, is still a pretty remarkable thing to happen. And not to get all flowery because I am fiercely competitive, but you do learn the most about yourself when you fail, when you haven't executed. And I feel like we haven't seen that at all. And it's a humbling moment. You saw some of the senior players, the last Portugal match, that were fairly solemn, that, tough on themselves, which is what you expect for anyone that's been honored to wear that badge, including Sam Coffey. Um, how does that conversation spin forward into today where, we saw 8 changes into the lineup? The risk appetite is clearly there on Emma's behalf. Do we consider this now 2 matches, this a success? Is this a reinvigorated team? Are there any positive indicators that you kind of picked out that you said, "Hey, you know what? This has been the most efficient test of the US so far?"
Yeah, I think the biggest question was how were they going to bounce back from Thursday? Because, based off of interviews and that we heard Sam Coffey, talk about, oh, you're gonna get a different, different side on Sunday, which, to be fair, we definitely did. I think every team at some point has to fail, they have to lose. And I think it's what you do to bounce back from it that really determines what kind of team, what kind of sort of environment you are. And I think Emma has done an incredible job so far coming in with kind of creating this environment where it's, okay, we're not going to get too down on ourselves, but we are going to hold ourselves accountable. We're going to try to rectify the things that went wrong on Thursday and make those things right come Sunday. And I think Emma, she is the perfect person. I think, kind of piggybacking on what Jess, just said, that it's the perfect timing for her to come in. So much things have changed with her coming in, and I think that's what this culture needed, was some change. It was to give people an opportunity that perhaps wouldn't have gotten an opportunity beforehand. This is, creating a culture where you can fail but learn from your failures in order to succeed, and that's exactly what she's doing. This is why she is one of the most successful coaches, in all of English football, and then coming over here and taking that and bringing it into the U.S. soccer culture. So, I honestly believe that what she's creating, the dynamic that she's creating, the culture that she's creating, is such a positive thing. It's giving people an opportunity. We are missing out on quite a few players due to pregnancy, due to injury. And now it's about giving players an opportunity not to step up, to the plate and see if they can, add some success to this team. So I think, today for me was a huge indication of where this program is going and where they'll continue to keep going. What I enjoy is the fact that they stood on business. They said, listen, like we're gonna come out, we're gonna do right by the fans, by the supporters, and really kind of right those wrongs that happened on Thursday, and they did. And what I do like is the fact that she did switch up the lineup a bit, giving people an opportunity to go out there and kind of, and do their thing and do really well at it as well. Adding this much younger team, seeing what they can go out go out there and do, and they did very well. So, and I love that there is this balance between inexperience and experience. I think you're giving people an opportunity to kind of, work with the players that are super experienced and get that under their belt. So it's a great thing that's going, and I'm really excited to see what they do moving forward. I'm really looking forward to Wednesday and seeing what happens for sure.
We saw obviously a Portugal side that don't mind not having possession, are really quick to hit you in transition. They have the attacking teeth to get it done when they need to. They're looking down at the October 29th now. The US will be playing New Zealand, which slightly different. Again, a team that will play in transition, but more defensive minded. We know that they'll sit compactly. The US in the past or more recently have had not the easiest time, which is, I feel like, fairly common, trying to break down low blocks and things like that. Do we think we'll see a huge change in the lineup, or will this be like another sort of rotation back to the more senior players to see if that's another test for them? Obviously, we don't really know how New Zealand will line up, but we have some pretty good guesses about how they generally play. Their midfield's pretty stable. They're a little bit more predictable. Do you think that Emma will play it safe going into that match, or we'll see this sort of influx again of more senior players?
I honestly think that I I don't know what's going to happen. This is just a prediction, but I would love to see, half of what we had on Thursday and then half of what we got today. So I think it's going to be another mixture of players just to see how they play, next to one another. And so this is just a great opportunity and a great time frame in order to do so. These are friendlies in order to prepare themselves, moving forward, going into World Cup qualifications. And so I think we're going to see a completely different lineup again come Wednesday, because that's the point of these players coming into camp, and that's what she's doing. She's one of those few coaches who is allowing everyone who comes into camp to play. So I think that we're going to see some different players coming in, and I think it's going to be a mixture of both games. So maybe we'll see an Emily Sams, maybe we'll see a couple other players so that we can name, but I think it's
Ooh,
going to be a little
yeah, I
different. We'll
feel
see.
like we
Yeah.
we talk a little bit about Emily Sams, and she ends up getting called into camp, and then we don't actually really get to see her very often. So that's actually a good shout. I think for me, if we're looking at the schedule and what it's shaping up to be, like New Zealand, and they have Italy twice, I think I would like to see them get, again, a little bit more tested and see how well we can integrate some of those more seasoned players. I did really The midfield today really impressed me, I
Oh my
have to
gosh.
say.
Yes.
Um, they're very young, but they're very dynamic, and I feel like a little bit scrappy because you have like that positive competition of like, I have a lot to prove right now, especially when you're looking at, again, somebody like Lindsay Heaps, who's so many caps to her name. And then, a Sam Coffey, who, me personally, one of my favorite defensive middies, that she just, you can't imagine the team without her, but they played so well today. And she had to, pull up and still get a goal today, but
She sure
whatever.
did.
Okay,
Um,
Cupo. Okay,
yeah,
so you were a midfielder when
yes.
during your old playing days.
Not
Who,
yeah, not
if
nearly
there
not
was
nearly as talented as these kids, but yeah,
but
scrappy,
if there
scrappy.
was a midfielder that you can choose to play next to on this current roster for the U.S. Women's National Team, who would it be?
Oh, damn. Like the whole roster,
Why
or like
and why?
today's?
The whole
Today's
roster
or
that's in camp right
oh,
now.
oh,
This camp,
oh, that's so hard because we have so many talented midfielders. Like, we actually have such champagne problems in the midfield.
Mhm.
Um, goddamn. Um, I mean, like, Rose, are you kidding? Just
right?
because, like, that's a
Hey,
cheat
she
code
be
right
cooking
there.
it up,
But yeah, like, she could do things that defy literal like geometry, physics, and among other things. So like whatever she needed, I would literally be like, I will lay the ball off to you wherever you need it, babes. I will
Yeah.
find. But of the youth, I think I really, really like Jaden Shaw. Just looks like a lot of fun to play with. Like, even if I could get her like small side, she just seems like a really fun play, like smart, and one of those players that you can, I don't know how to explain it. Like, how there's players you can feel, like you
Mhm.
don't necessarily have to look for them, but you could feel them.
yes.
Um, yes, like 1,000%. So anytime you want to kick around Jaden Shaw, I'm happy to use the last 2% of my knee cartilage.
Amazing.
We'll let her know.
My goodness, I love yapping with all of y'all, but I think we have to start wrapping up, or they'll just like grab the Broadway hook and just pull us right off. But I will say the quick fire, and then we'll wrap it up, gang. Who right now, is there anyone that you would throw out a name for an absolute World Cup lock as of today? You could be risky, you could be sure-footed. I'll judge you either way.
Okay, I'm gonna go with Avery Patterson.
Ooh, okay. She stole that right out from under you, Satara. I saw it. She glanced your way.
Nah, you know what? And I was going to question, are we sure Miss Johannes is 18 years old? Because this is out here playing like she was damn near 27. Like,
why did I say the same thing?
She is unbelievable. I was looking at her, I was like, there's no way. That's gonna be my pick.
Okay.
Buddy, watching her play Champions League football and have the audacity to chip a keeper is now imprinted on the back and possibly the front of my brain. So
her vision is insane. And the fact that she can just dish out these balls on a platter for she's not 18.
Thank you. Drop the mic, Sadie Mae. Go ahead, sis. Man, I said that too. Man, she's just brilliant, boy. Like, she's 18?
18, no way.
I was still
what I was doing when I was 18? Not that. So, like,
sis, I was tripping over my own shoelaces still at 18.
Literally 404 file not found. I don't know anything about me at 18. I don't know. But what I will say, I'm going to go with going Fallon Tullis-Joyce, because I'm going to alley-oop that so that maybe I can have the prescience of them clipping this later and being like, damn, she was so wise those many months back, and not like it being a brand new incumbent that they're like, oh yeah, she's shiny and new, but she's the starting goalkeeper forever. And then the entire social media and internet will dunk on me for perpetuity. It's fine.